Number 10. The Door That Screams. In the mountains of southern Turkey, there's a cave system called the Cehennem Deresi, literally Hell's Stream. So, great start. You hike a few hours up an ancient goat trail, find this jagged scar in the rock, and step into a place that's colder than it should be, darker than it has any right to be, and way too quiet. Locals have passed down a name for this place that translates to the Screaming Door. Fun. But here's the kicker. It's not called that because of some mythological banshee. It's the acoustics. The way the cave is shaped, arched ceilings, bizarrely smooth walls, makes every whisper bounce around like it's trying to escape. If you speak too loud, the echoes hit back in a weird delay that literally makes people panic. Archaeologists exploring it had to leave in under an hour because their own voices were driving them into sensory meltdown. Oh, and did I mention what's carved at the entrance? Ancient inscriptions in Luwian, an extinct language, warning trespassers about gods beneath the earth. Just your classic, abandon all hope, energy, written in stone. What were they keeping inside? No one knows. The cave's deeper chambers are collapsed, either naturally or on purpose. But here's what we do know. If ancient engineers went out of their way to build a cave that sounds like it's yelling at you, they probably weren't making a cozy Airbnb. So yeah, built for echoes, lined with warnings, sealed by time. This cave wasn't keeping people out, it was keeping something else in. Number 9. The Teeth Room. Welcome to Gough's Cave in Cheddar Gorge, England. Yes, that cheddar, where cheese dreams are born and nightmares apparently live. Because deep inside this tourist-friendly cave is a chamber the guides usually skip, mostly because it's filled with human teeth, hundreds of them, filed, polished, arranged like someone was decorating for a dental-themed horror movie. And here's where it gets worse. Archaeologists didn't just find teeth, they found skulls, modified into cups. Yep, skull, cups, as in cheers to the gods of the underworld level weird. And according to the wear patterns, people actually use them. Think about that next time you complain about ceramic mugs. The people who lived here around 14,000 years ago weren't just survivalists. They were spiritual, artistic, and disturbingly okay with cannibalism. Cut marks on bones suggest they butchered their dead like game animals. Not for fun, for ritual. Something about the cave made them think, yeah, this is the place to drink brain tea. Gough's cave wasn't just a shelter, it was a shrine. To ancestors, to nature, to whatever lived in the pitch-black tunnels beyond human reach. Whatever the reason, one thing's clear. If your cave has a designated teeth zone, something in there was hungry. Number 8. The Tomb with Breathing Walls. Okay, this one sounds fake, but it's absolutely real. In the highlands of Peru lies the Chachapoya cave tombs. These guys, nicknamed the Cloud Warriors, buried their dead in vertical cliffside caves so remote that even condors had trouble reaching them. Now, here's where your hair stands up. The walls of some of these tomb caves move like they're breathing. Archaeologists thought it was seismic activity or airflow until they realized it only happened during certain moon phases. Yeah, the tombs exhale with the moon. Inside, mummies, dozens of them, perfectly preserved, sitting upright like they're waiting for a meeting to start. They were wrapped in woven fabrics, staring at each other, and you, with hollow eyes. Some have tiny idols tucked into their arms, made from human bone and feathers. A few caves have platforms built out from the cliff wall, so the dead could literally look down on the valley forever, like judgmental grandparents from beyond the grave. Locals believe the caves are sacred, not haunted, guarded. And here's the wildest part. When researchers tried to relocate some of the mummies for study, rockfalls started happening. Equipment broke. One scientist even reported hearing a voice whisper, "Don't. If your cave walls are breathing and your corpses are whispering, just maybe, someone built it to trap whatever's inside." Number 7. The Cave That Eats Light. In the heart of Slovenia is a cave with a name that sounds like a Tolkien fever dream, Predjama. Perched beneath a literal castle, it stretches out beneath centuries of medieval mystery. Tourists come for the fairy tale architecture, historians come for the dark stuff, and spelunkers? Well, they come back with less sanity than they started with. Why? Because Predjama has a chamber so dark, it kills flashlights. Not just one or two flukes. Multiple expedition teams have reported batteries draining instantly once they cross a certain threshold. No magnetic anomalies, no equipment malfunctions outside, only in that chamber. And it's not just the gadgets that freak out. People do too. Panic attacks, dizziness. One seasoned explorer said it felt like standing in the mouth of something huge. This room doesn't just absorb light, it absorbs your sense of being seen. One minute you're a rational adult in a cool cave. The next, you're a primal mammal with goosebumps screaming, "Get out." Local legends say the cave hides a buried spirit called the Night Guest. You don't see it, you don't hear it, you just know you're not alone. Oh, And bonus nightmare? The chamber lines up directly beneath the castle's former torture room. Coincidence? Sure. Totally normal to build your fortress of justice on top of an energy-sucking abyss. When even the light wants to leave, maybe you should too. Number 6. The whispers of Actun, Tunichil, Muknal. Somewhere deep in the jungles of Belize lies a cave that sounds like a fantasy spell. Actun, Tunichil, Muknal. Say that 3 times fast and you might summon something. Locals call it the Cave of the Crystal Sepulchre. And yes, it's exactly as cheerful as it sounds. First, you hike miles through rainforest. Then you swim into a narrow tunnel because, of course, the only way in is underwater. And finally, you emerge into a pitch-black cathedral of stone. The air's warm, humid, and every drip of water echoes like thunder. Here's where it gets disturbing. The further in you go, the more bones you find. Dozens of them. Sacrificed children, bound adults, some left mid-prayer position, and all facing inward, as if something was waiting deeper. Then you meet her, the Crystal Maiden, a teenage girl sacrificed 1,000 years ago. Her bones have fused with the cave floor, and over centuries, minerals have coated her skeleton until she sparkles in the light. It's beautiful. It's horrifying. It's the human equivalent of finding a diamond in your cereal. But the real creep factor? Visitors swear they hear whispers in the dark. Guides insist it's just the acoustics. But people report hearing their names, even in groups, even when no one else is talking. A few have claimed they saw shadows move against the direction of their headlamps. If your cave demands blood, speaks in whispers, and turns its victims into glittering relics, it's not just a cave, it's a mouth, and it's still hungry. Number 5. The Vault of the Dead. Way up in the Himalayan foothills of India sits a lake called Roopkund. Sounds peaceful, right? Like a nice place for a yoga retreat or a nature hike. Except, it's literally surrounded by hundreds of human skeletons. Not buried, not hidden, just lying there. Scattered like nature's version of, hey, you shouldn't be here. The nearby cave network? Even weirder. Small, narrow, high-altitude tunnels. No sign of habitation, but traces of ancient fire, as if people hid in them or waited. Some of the bones were found inside the caves, stacked near cave mouths, facing out. Not like burials, more like watchmen. Carbon dating puts the skeletons at around 200 years old. And here's the unsettling twist. They all died the same way. Blunt force trauma, like being pelted by a god-sized hailstorm. Except the wounds are too localized, skull only, as if they were kneeling during it. Scientists believe a freak weather event killed them. Local folklore? Not buying it. Elders talk about a curse cave above the lake, sealed now, but once used to bind something below. What that something is, no one's volunteering to find out. When your cave comes with its own skeleton moat, maybe the point wasn't to visit it. Maybe it was a warning sign, a bone-lettered "Do not disturb." Number 4. The cave that shouldn't echo. In central France, tucked behind an overgrown path in the Vézère Valley, sits a cave known to the locals as La Bouche Muette, the mute mouth. It's part of a region known for Paleolithic cave art. Beautiful stuff. Bison, deer, mystical symbols. But this one? This cave's quiet. Too quiet. Geologists swear it should echo like a cathedral. The chamber's massive, the ceilings are high, the acoustics should bounce. But they don't. Sound gets swallowed. You can scream in there and it just dies. No echo, no reverb, just silence. The ultimate noise-canceling coffin. Now add this. The cave is full of red handprints, not painted on the walls, pressed into them, like someone dipped their hands in blood and pushed. Except there's no pigment residue, just pigment staining the rock, as if absorbed. No brush strokes, no spray, like the walls were drinking it. Most of the prints are at eye level. Some are upside down, some are child-sized, but with elongated fingers. And one chamber has them climbing the walls. Literally dozens of handprints crawling toward a dark ceiling crack. Historians can't explain it. Artists can't replicate it. And no one stays in the cave longer than 10 minutes. People say they feel watched. One researcher's audio recorder picked up faint static with a rhythmic pattern. 5 beats, then silence, then 5 more. Morse code, heartbeat, something knocking back. When your cave doesn't echo, but it responds, it's not just muting your voice, it's listening. Number 3, the bones beneath the Basilisk. Bulgaria's Devatashka cave looks like it came straight out of a fantasy novel. Massive skylights, gaping stone arches, and a cavern big enough to fit a cathedral, which makes sense because it was a place of worship for thousands of years. The Thracians, the Romans, the early Christians, everyone wanted a piece of it, literally, because buried under layers of ash and clay were bones, a lot of bones, some human, some animal. and some that don't exactly match anything in the textbooks. Elongated skulls, double rows of teeth, bones with holes in places bones shouldn't have holes. When archaeologists dug deeper, because of course they did, they found what looked like ritual pits, stone-lined holes filled with ashes, bone dust, and melted metal objects, almost like something had been burned alive inside. One pit even had claw marks on the inside wall. Neat. There's also a recurring symbol carved around these pits, a snake eating its own tail, the Ouroboros. Ancient symbol of eternity, sure, but also a cosmic warning label. Locals have legends of a serpent god that once devoured the sky and was locked in the cave by priests who gave it metal to eat and fire to sleep. Not creepy at all. And get this, when Soviet troops used the cave for a military depot in the 1950s, the roof partially collapsed. On a clear day, no tremors, no explanation. The army abandoned it fast. When even Cold War superpowers say, nah, we're good, maybe the ancient priests knew exactly what they were doing. Number 2, the hive that breathed fire. Let's go underground, like deep underground. In southern China's Hunan province lies the Fengdu Mingdong Cave, a limestone labyrinth known as the Ghost Hive. Locals refuse to enter, not because of superstition, but because every now and then it breathes fire. No joke. Warm sulfuric gas blasts out of narrow vents deep inside the cave. Not constantly, not predictably, just when it wants to. Scientists say it's geothermal pressure. Sure, but why does it happen more often when people are inside? One researcher even had their boots partially melted. It gets weirder. The walls are scorched, blackened, like something exploded in there. But there's no soot buildup, just mineral staining and signs of repeated burning. And in one side chamber, they found what looked like old shackles, metal rings, embedded in the rock, human height, like someone was chained inside during the fire bursts. There's also a pattern carved above that chamber, a sun with a missing center. Locals say it represents the hollow star, a spirit that fell from the sky and was trapped underground, where its rage made the earth boil. Tourist brochures don't mention the fire, or the chains, or the charred animal bones that still show up near the entrance after rain, because caves don't usually get angry, unless something inside them remembers how. Number 1, the Pit of the Painted Eyes. Welcome to northern Spain, where a cave called El Castillo holds some of the oldest cave art ever discovered. Think red discs, hand stencils, and a cluster of mysterious symbols that scream prehistoric graffiti. It's like a haunted kindergarten finger painting party. Cute, right? Until you get to the eye room. This chamber is deeper than most visitors go. No sunlight, no airflow, and definitely no tour guides. On the walls, dozens of eyes. Just eyes. Huge, almond-shaped, staring straight ahead, painted in iron oxide with such weird intensity that even 21st century brains go, nope. Some are stacked in threes, some are upside down, some are half scratched out, and they all have tiny dots inside the pupils, like they're not looking at you, they're tracking something. Anthropologists think these were spiritual symbols, maybe a shamanic trance motif, or, an ancient panic attack made permanent. Some even theorize that this was the first known isolation chamber used for sensory deprivation rituals, because nothing says spiritual enlightenment like locking yourself in a pitch-black rock room full of giant ghost eyes. One disturbing pattern, the eyes grow more distorted the deeper into the chamber you go. The last few have multiple pupils, some have no iris at all, and one set is painted on the ceiling, as if the artist wanted them to watch from above. Modern researchers have reported bizarre dreams after visiting, nightmares of being watched, of blinking shadows, of eyes that open when you're not looking. Because if you're painting eyeballs inside a cave, it's probably not because you're bored, it's because you need to know where it is. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.